Hey guys, I'm Jay Sensei, and today I'm going to be reviewing Demon Slayer. This time around, I'm going to be going episode by episode so I can give a more in-depth analysis. The story follows a boy named Tanjiro, who is protecting the last surviving member of his family. When I saw Tanjiro trudging in the snow, right away I wanted to know his story. Tanjiro is living peacefully with his mother and siblings. One day, he goes to town to sell some goods. When he returns the next day, things were never the same. His family was viciously attacked. The only survivor was his unconscious sister, Nezuko, so keeping her alive was absolutely important. But when Nezuko wakes up, she gets very aggressive with Tanjiro. Just by looking in her eyes, Tanjiro can tell Nezuko has become a demon. During the struggle, a mysterious swordsman interferes. Apparently, he's a demon slayer. Tanjiro insists that he spared Nezuko, but the demon slayer won't back down. This forces Tanjiro to fight him. I must say, the animation in this show is top tier, especially in this scene. It almost felt like I was there. Though Tanjiro lost, the Demon Slayer was still impressed. Tanjiro's strategy had him completely fooled, so much that I think he might have won if he was stronger. Tanjiro also proved that Nezuko wasn't a threat to other humans, so the Demon Slayer named Giyu decided to let them go, advising Tanjiro to find his master, Sakonji, and never expose Nezuko to sunlight. At the end of the episode, we see Tanjiro has buried his family. I'm glad this scene was included because a lot of times when anime characters die, we don't get to see them getting paid their respects. Before they could start their journey, Tanjiro had to find a way to shield Nezuko during the day. This was actually one of my favorite scenes. I just thought it was so cute when Nezuko shrunk and got patted on the head for doing a good job. Anyway, it didn't take long for them to run into trouble. Some random demon picked a fight with them, and again the animation was awesome. That moment when Nezuko kicked that guy's head off was pretty dramatic, but the fact that he grew arms from his head afterward added more shock value. Moving on to Giyu's master, Sakonji. Initially, he had his doubts about Tanjiro. After all, Tanjiro couldn't bring himself to execute one demon. However, Tanjiro proved himself in a rite of passage, but I think there's another reason why Sakonji decided to train him. Like Tanjiro, Sakonji also has a keen sense of smell, as stated by Giyu. So naturally, Sakonji has a connection with Tanjiro. During the training, I had some good laughs. Tanjiro can be funny sometimes. With the help of Biso and Makome, he completed his training. It took a whole 2 years. Before Tanjiro heads off for final selection, which is the test to become a Demon Slayer, he mentions Sabiso and Makamo to Sakonji. Internally, Sakonji reveals that they're both dead. Looking back, there was definitely some foreshadowing about this. Tanjiro even noticed that the two of them didn't have a scent. During final selection, we got to see just how far Tanjiro had become. He performed a skill called Total Concentration Breathing, which can manifest a wave when it strikes. The story gets more complex when Tanjiro encounters a huge demon with multiple arms. Apparently, this demon was captured by Sakonji long ago. He's taken many lives, including Sakonji's disciples Sabito and Makamo. The only reason he was able to identify Tanjiro in connection with Sakonji was because he recognized Sakonji's carvings on Tanjiro's warding mask. Despite all this, Tanjiro made quick work of him. After Tanjiro beats him, he shows his empathy and stays with the demon until the very end. I think this scene is meaningful because this is the first major demon Tanjiro has killed. Not only that, Tanjiro is portrayed as an avenger, as indicated by the ghosts of Sakonji's past disciples. Tanjiro survives and is given the necessary gear as an official Demon Slayer. He didn't reunite with Nezuko. It's an emotional scene because he's been asleep for the last 2 years. This is strange because demons can't go that long without devouring humans. As for the sword, it was delivered by a strange man named Haganesuka. Haganesuka, who has forged Tanjiro's sword, states that these swords can absorb sunlight, which is why they're so effective against demons. I actually didn't notice the whole time I was watching the show. That's kind of why I like dub, because I wouldn't have missed something that important. Anyway, Tanjiro then gets sent to his first assignment with Nezuko accompanying him on his back. Can I just say that the look Nezuko had in her eyes was so satisfying when she saw Tanjiro in his uniform for the first time? Would you agree? Let me know in the comments. In this town where Tanjiro is assigned, he uses his sense of smell to track down a demon. His nose is so good that he can even tell the gender. Pretty impressive stuff. I hope I get to learn why he has that ability. Tanjiro finds the demon and saves the young girl it captured. Looking at this demon, I was definitely not a fan. This guy has no pupils and looks like Voldemort from Harry Potter. Plus, his desire to devour 16-year-old girls is unethical. The creep even had their belongings like they're his trophies. Tanjiro goes for the kill immediately. This demon, however, can duplicate himself, so Tanjiro was outnumbered until Nezuko joins the fight. Though Tanjiro didn't ask, I think it's awesome how Nezuko still knows when she's needed. Then again, this could be because of the hypnosis Sakonji placed on Nezuko, which specifies that all demons are enemies. Thus, she is very protective of humans and even sees them as family, literally. With her strength, Tanjiro realizes that Nezuko can handle herself. He decides to let her keep fighting. Tanjiro then goes into enemy territory and defeats 2 of the clones. Meanwhile, the original had gained the upper hand on Nezuko. Just as he was about to land the killing blow, Tanjiro swoops in for the save. He then says, "Hands off my sister." That was exactly what he needed to say. Plus, the demon was wondering why Nezuko and Tanjiro were on the same side, so surely this answered his question. Tanjiro corners the demon. He tries to get information out of him and asks him about someone named Kibizuchi, but comes up empty. I should have mentioned this earlier, but Kibizuchi is the key to turning Nezuko back human. Tanjiro then leaves behind some kind words for Kazumi, who lost his fiancée Satoko the night before. Tanjiro was able to recover the victim's belongings, which he handed to Kazumi. One of them was a red bow that belonged to Satoko. It's pretty sad because that's the only thing he has to remember her by. With his mission completed, Tanjiro moves on to the next assignment in Tokyo. This is where things get interesting, because it is there where he tracks down Kibizuchi. This guy has an interesting design. He reminds me of Miriam from Hunter x Hunter. And with that hat, I could argue that Kibizuchi was inspired by Michael Jackson. Let me know in the comments what you think. Anyway, just by his scent, Tanjiro knows Kibizuchi was there the day he lost his family. Despite this, Tanjiro hesitates. You see, Kibizuchi has a family, a human family at that. This confusion along with a nearby demon allows Kibizuchi to escape. With his quick thinking, Tanjiro restrains the poor human-turned-demon. The Tokyo policemen, who aren't on the same side, try to stop Tanjiro. The young demon slayer is then assisted by 2 unfamiliar faces. During this time, we got to see firsthand what Kibizuchi was capable of. Not only does he kill, but he does it in the worst ways possible. Kibizuchi then summons his minions to go after Tanjiro. He describes that he's wearing earrings, which reminds Kibizuchi of someone he's fought before. There's definitely something being foreshadowed. Tanjiro gets recruited by Yashiro, who calls Nezuko an eyesore. Tanjiro's reaction was priceless. I'm going to break the fourth wall for a moment. Ever since this show came out, the fans have been waifuing Nezuko a lot. Yet this guy is the only one who thinks she's ugly. Like I said, priceless. Tanjiro even tries to correct his vision by suggesting he should see Nezuko without her muzzle. That's where the gag ends though. Yashiro takes the brother and sister to Tomoyo, a doctor. Unlike ordinary demons, Tomoyo explains that her and Yashiro only need a small amount of blood to survive. Tanjiro's nose is so good that he can tell that she's telling the truth. Tomoyo also knows about Nezuko's condition and that Tanjiro wants to turn her back human. She makes 2 requests: to study Nezuko's blood and for Tanjiro to collect samples closely related to Kibizuchi, all in hopes that she'll find a cure. One thing I noticed during this interaction is that Yashiro is hostile towards Tanjiro, so much that he gets jealous whenever Tanjiro looks at her. As allies, the 4 go up against Kibizuchi's minions, Sazumaru and Yahaba. Sazumaru takes out Yashiro early on, which I did not see coming. If he wasn't a demon, he would have totally died. This fight was pretty awesome. There was this one shot where Tanjiro and Nezuko were side by side, looking war ready. I also got to see more variations of Tanjiro's total concentration breathing, all while he kept planning his next move. That's what I love about the show. The characters have to think. And of course, the animation didn't disappoint. Those camera movements were like something I would see in a video game. Like their last fight, Nezuko's strength was still impressive to watch. Even Yashiro held his own. In the end, the team walked away from this battle alive, but they still failed to gather information. There were some questions that got answered though, such as why Nezuko perceived Yashiru and Tamayo as family even though they're demons. Tanjiro simply put that in her eyes they're humans, but it wasn't like this before. I remember when Nezuko initially saw Yashiru as a threat, so she's definitely warmed up to him. She even gives Tamayo a big hug and Yashiru several head pats. I can see why people are waifuing her now. Plus, I think Nezuko stands out because she's funny too. I also learned why Yashiru feels so strongly for Tamayo. She saved him. We actually see her doing this when he was about to die. Before Tanjiro and Nezuko part ways, Yashiru surprisingly acknowledges Nezuko's feminine charms, which is a complete 180. Tanjiro makes his way to another town. He runs into Zenitsu from Final Selection. I love this part. It's so funny. Zenitsu is on his knees begging some girl to marry him. I'm not familiar with Japanese customs. Do they really marry when they're that young? Let me know in the comments. Either way, it looks hilarious. Another thing that made me laugh was Tanjiro understanding the sparrow's language. That took no effort. It only gets funnier when Tanjiro makes this face. I'm so sure it has become a meme by now. Anyway, Zenitsu accompanies Tanjiro on his mission. They locate a hideout where demons are living. The mood changes real quick when a hostage dies in Tanjiro's arms after falling 2 stories. Tanjiro charges right in, but he has his hands full. Tanjiro has to fight a demon, Koyogi, while he's off balance. He also has to protect children. And to make matters worse, he has to work with a masked demon slayer that refuses to cooperate with him. Meanwhile, Zenitsu is scared stiff, but then he does something unforeseen, one-shot a demon while asleep. With the kids out of danger, Tanjiro goes back for round 2. The animation was on point. Plus, I just loved how the camera was moving. It got some good shots. Once Tanjiro adapts to the environment, he finishes the job, and as a bonus, extracts Kyogi's blood. I'm starting to see a pattern. Almost every demon Tanjiro kills gets character development. At first, I thought this was unnecessary, but I realized the creator is trying to show that Tanjiro has changed them in their last moments. After the battle, Tanjiro confronts the demon slayer, Inosuke, who's after Nezuko. Zenitsu took a beating. I think I felt every hit while he was protecting the box. Tanjiro greets Inosuke with a fist to the ribs, which is pretty awesome by the way. But Inosuke just gets right back up. Right there, I knew this guy was more than a match for Tanjiro. I also liked how they didn't use swords in this fight, just straight hand to hand. Tanjiro wins unmasking Inosuke in the process. He literally looks like a girl with a dude's body. No wonder he wears a mask. Since all demon slayers were injured, they had to put their next missions on hold. I thought that was nice because this showed that demon slayers get to relax. Zenitsu also loses his mind when he meets Nezuko for the first time. Since she's so popular, I imagine this is every fan's reaction. It was quite humorous though. Once they're back to full strength, the 3 set out for the next mission. This time around, they can't see the enemy. And what's worse, their fellow demon slayers are hostages. Tanjiro's nose was failing him too, so Inosuke uses a neat trick to track down the puppet master. I thought this was so clean because I didn't even know he could do that. This was a smart way to make Inosuke more interesting while advancing the story. The demon slayer Maruta gives Tanjiro and Inosuke the slip so they can go after the puppet master. At this point, the puppet master was going too far. The demon hunters that she was controlling had broken bones, yet she was still forcing them to fight. In the end, Tanjiro wasn't able to save them. Tanjiro and Inosuke move on to the next obstacle and double team this headless demon. With him out of the way, they finally dealt with the puppet master. All it took was one shot. She didn't even put up a fight. Tanjiro confirmed that she actually wanted to die. She even gave Tanjiro valuable information before she perished. Meanwhile, Zenitsu is on his own. The guy is still scared to fight. By this time, I feel like it's justified because he's up against giant spiders that can talk. And what's worse, he's been poisoned and could become a spider himself. In the past, Zenitsu endured some harsh training and wanted to give up. No surprise there. What did surprise me though is that he was once struck by lightning. So that's how he got his hair color. Anyway, the guy looked hopeless until he falls asleep. That's when he goes beast mode. I wonder why this is the only time he can fight though. One thing I like about Zenetsu's backstory is the person that trained him. That old man used to be a Hashira, which is the highest ranking demon slayer. It's rare that anyone gets to be trained by them. No wonder why Zenetsu is so strong. Anyway, he never gave up on Zenetsu, even when Zenetsu gave up on himself. Meanwhile, Tanjiro and Inosuke got separated and both had to face an enemy alone. I feel like Inosuke was acting out of character. He's the type to charge right at his target, but this time he was actually hiding. Then again, he did get injured, but I liked how he noticed that's not how he fights and still tried to win. But in the end, Gyu took care of the monster. He then proceeded to tie up Inosuke, which was funny. My guess, Gyu doesn't want Inosuke to get involved since he almost died. Tanjiro is having his toughest battle yet. The Kizuki Ryui even managed to break his sword. When Nezuko reveals herself, Ryui starts acting strange. Apparently, he wants Nezuko to be his sister. Not sure how to feel about that ideology. Ryui captures Nezuko, which makes Tanjiro quite desperate. As Ryui goes in for the kill, Nezuko has a near-death experience. In it, he sees his father. He's talked about him before, but this was the first time he's appeared. Tanjiro looks just like him, even has the same scar. In the past, his dad told him about the breathing technique and entrusted Tanjiro with his earrings. Suddenly, Tanjiro applies his knowledge in the present and unleashes flames. Simultaneously, Nezuko casts some demon arts. It was so cool seeing them do that together, but all that really did was make Ryui angry. That's when Gyui swoops in and takes over. Up until this part, I've never seen Gyui fight for real. But then he does something unforgettable and hits Ryui with an advanced water breathing technique. The animation looked gorgeous. All Tanjiro can do is make waves, but this guy can make a sea. He beat Ryui so easily, I kinda felt bad for the guy. In a flashback, we see just how terrified Ryui's fake sister is of him. She then has a fatal encounter with Shinobi Kocha, a Hashira. It was kinda creepy to watch. Shinobu said she was going to torture Demon Girl, with a smile on her face by the way. But the Demon Girl didn't have time for mind games, so Shinobi changed tactics. Instead of beheading her like most Demon Slayers would, Shinobi used a deadly toxin. Interesting. So even demons can be poisoned. In Ryui's backstory, we see that he was once human. He had a weak body and struggled just to walk. When Kibizuchi turned him demon, that all changed. But because he ended so many lives, his parents weren't happy and tried to kill him. No wonder why he made a pretend family. But Ryui realizes that they don't come close to the real thing. I really thought this guy was bad. I did, until I heard his story. The kid was just trying to fill a void. Tanjiro finally addresses his sympathy for demons. To him, they're tragic creatures. Well, he's not wrong. After all, they were humans. And as demons, they're just trying to survive. With Ryui out of the picture, there's still more trouble. Shinobu is now a new threat to Nezuko. Luckily, Gyu was able to restrain her. I thought the interaction between those two was fun. They're like polar opposites. All of the survivors were taken back to headquarters. There, Tanjiro meets all the Hashiras. They are a weird bunch. One is obsessed with the word flamboyant. One gets easily flustered, and another has his head in the clouds. Apparently, Tanjiro has broken the rules by letting Nezuko, a demon, accompany him. One Hashira, Shinozagawa, takes matters into his own hands. I'm a fan of this guy's design. He looks so hardcore. Now, when it comes to his sister, Tanjiro is a savage. Even when his hands tied, he still hurt Shinozagawa by headbutting him. Shinozagawa was about to get really violent until a certain someone showed up, the one they called Master. All the Hashiras bowed, including Shinozagawa. Tanjiro also noticed how articulate Shinozagawa had become in his presence. That's how much he respects him. The Master had a gentle personality but was hard to look at. On top of that, he was blind. The Master was already aware of Tanjiro's situation thanks to a letter from Sakonji. He even knew that he'd made contact with Kibizuchi and Tomoya as well. Still, Shinozagawa wanted to prove Nezuko was a threat by using his own blood as bait. But Nezuko resisted like a champ. This was a win because she did this in front of everybody. With that out of the way, Tanjiro and the others began to rehab. Zenetsu was a bit deformed, but slowly returning back to normal. Inosuke had his throat crushed, so he was in the worst shape. Zenitsu notes that Inosuke's injury had made him more gentle. Again, this is out of character for Inosuke. He even apologized for being weak. This battle has really humbled him. Meanwhile, the master tells the Hashidas that they need to strengthen the Demon Slayer corpse. I couldn't agree more because it seems that the corpse can't do anything without a Hashida. The master also intends to defeat Kibizuchi himself, so this must mean that he's a Demon Slayer too. But what's his story? While recovering, Maruta pays Tanjiro a visit in the hospital. This bothered me because he had little to no injuries. It's kind of like he didn't really fight. Anyway, Shinobu comes along and scares him off. This is so funny to me because he knows what she's capable of. I mean, she's scarier than she looks. Right away, she begins their training, and it's grueling, except for Zenitsu. Since he's girl crazy, the training is like a paradise to him. The only one they couldn't beat was Kanao, a disciple of Shinobu. She even looks like Shinobu, and they're not even related. Tanjiro also noted that she has the scent of a Hashida. In order to progress, Tanjiro was advised that he should use total concentration breathing non-stop. I think this training really compensated for his sword since he broke it. While meditating, Shinobu sneaks up on him. This is starting to become a regular thing for her. Plus, she got so close that Tanjiro blushed. Then that's when Tanjiro sees something that I couldn't. He asks her if she's angry. Keep in mind, Shinobu has been smiling the entire show, so when she stopped because of that question, that made me take the scene seriously. Shinobu explains that she lost her older sister to demons. Because of this, she's almost always angry, and that anger only keeps growing. Shinobu says her sister was a kind person, and Tanjiro reminds Shinobu of her. Interesting. Up until this point, Shinobu has been hard to read, but it's good that we got to see a more vulnerable side of her. Tanjiro intensifies his training. Even in his sleep he's working. Zenitsu and Inosuke basically gave up, so they needed a little push. Shinobu used reverse psychology on Inosuke and her feminine charms on Zenitsu. Before you knew it, they were back out there with Tanjiro. That was well played. Shinobu must have been paying attention because she knows him better than I thought. Kanao's backstory is tragic. Her parents sold her when she was younger. Plus, her emotions were non-existent. Luckily, Shinobu and her sister Kanae saved her. I gotta say, Shinobu was different back then. The exact opposite, in fact. I see where she gets her personality from though, because that's exactly what Kanae was like. Anyway, Kanao didn't have the ability to make her own decisions. It was so bad that she had to be told to eat. So Kanae gave her a coin. That way, when she's by herself, she'll have something to make up her mind. To this day, she still has that coin. And I could argue that she keeps it as a memento to Kanae. The time came for the trio to be gifted new swords. Haganetsuga greets Tanjiro with an assassination attempt. He wasn't happy about what happened to his original swords. He also gets worked up about Inosuke's modifications. Anyway, Tanjiro finally bested Kanao and completes his training. He then asks Shinobu about flame breathing. This must have something to do with the fight against Ryui. But the only one who knows about it is the Flame Hashira, who's away. I guess this is going to be a plot device in Season 2. Meanwhile, Kibizuchi has taken on a new form. Apparently, he's a shapeshifter. Not sure why he did this it seems kind of random. But that's not all. He can read minds. No wonder why his minions fear him. And when he's in a bad mood, he goes on a rampage. Reminds me of Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul. Kibizuchi personally dismantles the lower ranks of Kizuki. In light of Ryui's death, he knows that he has to strengthen his forces. Tanjiro learns about Kanao's habit, so he makes a wager and wins. Now, Kanao has to follow her heart. I think he really won her over because she looked so starstruck at him. Kanae said one day she was going to change for a boy, and I think this is what she meant. Tanjiro and company are sent out to answer a distress call. Their mission is to investigate the Infinity Train, where over 40 people have gone missing. On the way there, they find themselves fleeing from police. Zenitsu states that the Demon Slayer Corps aren't officially recognized by the government. This is interesting because it makes the show feel more modern. I say this because in feudal times, people weren't allowed to carry swords anymore after it ended. My final thoughts: one thing I like about the show is that it emphasizes the Japanese aesthetics. Demon Slayer really does a good job immersing you in the culture, which brings me to character designs. Kimonos seem to give everyone their own identity in the show. Shinobu's kimono is so original, and seems like this one she could pass as a butterfly. I like the design of Zenitsu's kimono too. It matches his hair and transitions nicely from yellow to orange. Masks are another aspect of individuality. I like how they even have certain traits on them. For instance, Sabito has a scar on his face, so there's a scar on his mask too. I also noticed the octagon-shaped eyes. This alone lets me know that I'm watching Demon Slayer. This anime also leaves me asking questions. After all, I still don't know who's the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps. Neither do I know how demons originated. Overall, great show. If you want top-notch animation, this is for you. On my anime list, I gave Demon Slayer an 8 out of 10. Okay guys, that's it for today. If you liked this video, don't be afraid to hit that like button. And if you're new to my channel, show your support and subscribe. What do you think about Demon Slayer? Does it live up to the hype? How would the Hashiras fare against Naruto's Akatsuki or Hunter x Hunter's Phantom Troop? Leave a comment below. I'm out.